What's good, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the MF podcast. My guest today is Oliver Orchard. My guest, Ollie, he is bodybuilder with over 15 years experience, 15 years worth of experience in fitness. He is a personal trainer who specializes in working with disabled and homeless, vulnerable.
Yeah, I have done a bit of that as well. Yeah.
Okay, he's taken part in many competitions. He's essentially a local champion of goodness. There's a lot of good people in the area that have good things to say about him. So yeah, let's jump straight into it.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Ollie,
Sonny,
how you doing,
I'm very well, thank you.
mate? Brilliant, good. No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine, mate. Trying to do research on you, it wasn't easy. It took me a while to find your surname, and it was only after I found a poster of you entering some kind of competition, I think it was.
Oh, I mean, look, if you Google my name, you find all sorts on there. It usually starts with tractors. It's somewhere in America, and then you slowly find me and discover some things on there. And the usual stuff is anorexic male turns bodybuilder.
Okay.
That was one of the big hits
Okay.
back in 2014.
I didn't find that.
No,
Okay. All right.
that's an Oliver Frederick Orchard search.
Right. Okay. All right.
So that's what you sort of first discover. But aside from that, Orchard is actually a very uncommon surname. So it's quite hard to find anything on there.
Well, your social media handle is Ollie.Cult.
That's right.
And so obviously I didn't think Cult was your surname. I thought,
we baptized you.
yeah,
Cult,
yeah. I thought, okay, it's brilliant. But again, it was just something that I like to. Whoever my guest is, I like to know their full name, because whatever handle they go by, I feel like as long as they can get that because we don't know if 10, 20 years down the line you might come up with a new pseudonym for yourself,
Right.
and people might want to come back and watch this episode of you in your prime and well on your way into your prime, and
Yeah, absolutely.
use it as
That's
reference.
I didn't think that far ahead, if I'm being quite honest.
No, that's
Ollie.Cult itself was just a what would you call it? I think it was a tongue-in-cheek look at the world.
Okay.
I've the idea of a cult and this idea of people sort of following blindly again with something always interested me, always fascinated
Okay.
me, and so it was more of a tongue-in-cheek approach to life, and say I'm sort of, it's the opposite of a cult.
Okay.
Right, and so the name just sort of came through that, really.
Because you also have a clothing brand as well, don't you?
Well, Ollie.Cult coaching clothing was just an extension of that. I do get requests all the time for that, and I
Okay.
need to do more of it for some brand awareness. But this is an interesting part of the brand in itself. How it started off as a hardcore bodybuilding brand,
Okay.
and then it's sort of evolved into this more inclusive. That word I find slightly problematic sometimes, but a more inclusive or a different. It's got a different way of looking at the world now,
Okay.
with the disability fitness, with the things that I'm doing in the community. So I'm not sure if Ollie.Cult sort of represents what I'm doing anymore.
Okay.
I'm not on Instagram anymore
Okay.
for a period of time.
Yeah.
That's something that I just feel like sometimes I need to have some time away from.
No, definitely. And I also struggled finding any other kind of social accounts for you.
No,
Across the board.
but that's been sort of symptomatic of really how I've approached everything in life.
Interesting.
When I feel like I'm hitting maybe a bit of a, not identity crisis, but maybe a period of time where you're at a crossroads and you feel maybe a little conflicted about.
Self-development kind of
Well,
thing.
maybe that's a more positive way of like discussing it, self-development. But like, basically that feeling in yourself of maybe being slightly unsure of which move you're about to play next.
Okay.
And sometimes social media, because of the bravado, the persona, if it's not a fair reflection of where you truly are at in your life,
Okay.
for me, that's a moment to take a step back, reflect, kind of meditate on it, and work out, well, what version of myself am I really putting forward here?
Does that approach to social media, does that approach to kind of trying to avoid the fakeness,
Yes.
does that
Yeah.
resonate more with you as a bodybuilder? Because is it safe to say you can't fake being a bodybuilder?
Oh, I don't know about that. I think you can fake anything in life, and maybe
Okay.
that fake it to make it.
Okay.
thing is actually very, very applicable. Don't get me wrong. Like if we go back in time to like the beginnings of my bodybuilding
Okay.
history, whatever you want to call that,
Korea.
career career is a funny one, isn't it? Career
Yeah.
would suggest you made some sort of money, but that wasn't what I was interested in.
Okay. Okay.
It was all self development.
Okay.
It was all about trying to work something out in myself. So the fakeness bit, I mean, I had to fake it to make it.
Yeah, I've certainly come across moments where I have to kind of, you know, bend the truth a little bit. But yeah, go on. Sorry.
But the beautiful thing about bodybuilding is that, of course, you're sort of faking it because you're sort of creating a bit of a persona around yourself, a bit of a
Okay.
bravado, right? I mean, I think that's just to defend yourself against some of the trials and tribulations in life,
Okay.
most of the time. But the beauty of bodybuilding for me was it was such a focus on discipline and a process that really required you to put everything into it across all the boards: the food, the nutrition, the training, the supplementation.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
so you
That's
couldn't
okay.
fake
All right.
that.
That's what I mean.
Right.
That's what the real genuine participation in fitness culture, like actually working out. I mean, you can a guy can go to the gym, lift weights over a very short period of time and build a nice little bit of muscle,
Right.
but it's not the same kind of muscle as if he spent the past 15 years.
Well, sure. I mean, I understood straight away that this was a long-term investment.
Okay.
People call it lifestyle. I mean, that's a fair assessment of bodybuilding.
Okay.
I mean, it is a lifestyle, of course, but it's deeper than that, man.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
deeper
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I had a 10-year plan.
Okay.
I knew this wasn't going to be an overnight success thing, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Whether I knew it or not, whether I'd vocalized that to myself at the age of 17,
Okay.
that's a separate story. But I did know it innately in me, deep down, that this was going to require everything. And I was willing to do everything for that. That was the point.
What did that success look like?
Success is different to every person, right? I mean,
Was it a visible success in terms of how you looked, or was it a success in the terms of the kinds of things you could accomplish because of how you looked?
the aesthetic thing was like it was secondary. I think it's a really funny one, isn't it? What did success look like for me as a competitive bodybuilder?
Yes, yeah.
I think I just wanted to put forward a version of myself that I was proud of.
Okay.
That was this goes right back to childhood. It's I don't want to sort of dwell too much on the past.
You did tell me a lot off camera. You were telling me about the whole being 17 years old, working out in the basement.
Yeah, yeah.
The
I think that's if you listen to any very good bodybuilder, there is a similar theme that runs through
Okay.
about a kid who has I don't. It's not trauma at all, but you've gone through a few things,
Yeah.
right, that have shaped you and defined you up to that point,
Yes.
and you're trying to find an exit strategy away from that version of yourself, and throwing yourself into weights as a teenage boy or teenage girl, as it is a way of just kind of forming some discipline, some routine. So I told you
Yes. Yes.
off camera,
Yes.
my
Yes.
introduction to the gym was a multi-gym in my
Yeah.
basement,
Yeah. Yeah.
pitch black,
Yeah.
spiders, black and white Arnold Schwarzenegger, posters up on the wall, stuck on with sellotape, a little bit of light from the day coming through the basement window, and a CD player. But I would bust my ass every day down there, grinding out. I didn't know where it was going to take me,
Okay.
but
You knew it was the right.
well, that made sense. Nothing had
Right,
made as
okay.
much sense as that in my life,
Interesting. Okay.
right? And that's where it starts.
Okay.
And then you just bit by bit stretch the goalpost a little bit further every time,
Okay.
because every time you get a little bit more confident with it, or
Okay.
maybe you see that progress, or you're getting a little bit of validation. Not that that's what I was looking for, but of course that helps.
It becomes a little bit more attainable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those pictures I saw in the magazines, which seemed like otherworldly initially,
Okay.
they started to become more and more of a reality.
Yes.
Or
yeah.
at least you could say, "Hey, I actually think I might be able to do that."
Mate, I remember the old X-Men cartoons, like the kind
Right.
of comic books, and the very typical superhero physique. And for a very long time, I failed to disbelieve that was like attainable. Like
Yeah.
obviously now I'm older and I realize that there's certain dimensions it's not going to happen, but
Right.
it never.
Just a bit too angular.
I still, yeah, but it doesn't stop me to this day of aspiring to be fitter, to be healthier.
Yeah.
I know I should be I should be a lot better in better condition than I am right now, but it's just purely down to like lifestyle at the moment. Obviously with the editing and things like that, I spend a lot of time sat down, and unfortunately, I didn't stay on top of my diet as much,
Yeah.
and I didn't stay on top of my routine as much. So this is why I'm not shredded.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, no, I think it's a really important point because as a personal trainer, yes, my focus now is disability fitness, but I've trained since 2012, hundreds
yes,
of
yeah,
lifestyle clients and competitors. We're often talking about mentality more than physicality, or
okay,
at least the symbiotic relationship between those two.
okay,
Like I can't get a fantastic physique or outcome for someone
okay,
unless really the mentality is there. Now, there's varying degrees of mentality, right?
okay.
So I have lots of clients over the years who try to mirror my my, my mentality. And I
Okay,
don't think that's an unhealthy thing. That's that
okay,
they see what I'm doing and they
right.
think, well, maybe if I can get a slice of that,
Yeah, yeah,
maybe I
yeah.
can get the physical outcome that I'm looking for.
Nice. Okay.
And I do encourage that.
Yeah. Okay.
But I also say, look, guys, I knew this from the age of 17. This is what I was going to do.
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
competing by 20 years old.
Yes.
You can attempt to try and try and mirror
Yeah.
that, but ultimately you're going to have to find your
Yeah.
own level
Yeah. No, definitely.
of
Yeah.
expectation and what you think you can actually deliver.
Yeah.
So I'm setting what they often say to me, my lifestyle clients still is like, setting the bar high. I'm setting the bar very, very high.
Okay.
And they like the fact that they're always trying to achieve that.
Good. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I do expect a lot. Because I expect a lot from myself with it. And I can't sugarcoat it.
No,
I
no, no,
can't
no.
be
And
like,
this is what I mean about coming back to the whole
yeah,
avoiding fakeness,
yeah,
because you can't lie about it. You have to be sincere about you your diet and diet certainly.
yeah,
I notice it definitely. I'm a big fan of sprouts. Love sprouts. Cruciferous green vegetables and all that
yeah.
stuff. And it's I'm now I'm back on it. I'm kind of like, why was I avoiding vegetables for so long? Why was I, just not making more effort to include them in my diet? Why was I letting myself have so many fizzy drinks and things like that? It's just, yeah. So
Because sprouts suck.
I love, I love
Because no
sprouts.
one likes eating tons of broccoli.
That's fine. That's fine. Give it
It's
to me. That's fine. Yeah.
listen. We could all do better with our diets. The bodybuilding diet is a very specific thing, but sometimes people say that they go, well, I don't want to eat like a bodybuilder. I'm like, well, really, the core components of a bodybuilding diet are actually exactly what every human really needs to be eating.
Yes. Yeah.
Sometimes it's
Yeah.
lacking if in a diet phase
Okay.
of some essential minerals and vitamins and so on.
Okay.
Like I can definitely attest to that. I've been there, and you
Okay.
can feel very depleted at the latter stage of, say, a competition diet.
I was gonna say, yeah.
But caveating that, the general healthy lifestyle bodybuilding on the nutrition side,
Yeah.
I personally think everybody could do with eating a little bit more like that.
I had a friend a very long time ago, and he would say that just before a competition, he would drink red wine.
Right? Yeah.
Something to do with it. I don't know. Does it dehydrate the body or something? Or
Again, these are the the little golden nuggets that people sort of cherry pick and then hold on to, when it comes to bodybuilding, which I don't blame them because, I mean, because the process is incredibly boring. If you're talking about a diet phase, it's really, I mean, honestly, I mean, what more is there to say apart from you are incredibly disciplined. You wake up at the same time every day. You go to bed at the same time every day.
Okay.
You eat the same food every day.
Okay.
You train the same way every day. You take your supplements the same time every day. The only thing that changes is quantity.
Okay.
So it's Groundhog Day, right?
Okay.
Now, the sort of the bit that people get kind of excited about is, is that the bit where you put on the oil and the posing trunks, you drink wine.
Right.
And
Okay.
I get it,
Yeah.
because that's sort of like, that's actually the most sort of exciting part to a sort of spectator
Okay.
of the sport. But the truth is, I never drank alcohol before a competition.
Okay.
Never. I don't drink really.
Okay.
I do now a little bit. I'm retired, on record.
Yeah, okay. All
I
right.
do
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
bit of wine
Yeah.
and cocktail now. But back then,
Nice.
no, I didn't touch a drop. So I never understood why I'd put a foreign substance into my body
Okay.
at the last minute, which I hadn't had for 10 years.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
didn't make any sense to me. But it's to dry you out, essentially.
Okay.
Some people like vodka, some do some red wine, some white wine.
Right.
I think
Okay.
it's also a little bit of just trying to like ease off your nerves.
Interesting.
There's
Okay.
a little bit of what's the saying? Dutch courage.
Dutch courage. Yeah. 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 That's the one. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
there's a bit of that going on, but these are all the 1% stuff at the end
Okay.
that the final touches to what is really a very long stretch of boring, monotonous hard work.
So you mentioned eating the same stuff day in day out, going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time, supplements at the same time. I've tried to have routines similar to that in my life, and I usually find that something outside of my life or outside of my routine will impact my life and kind of throw my schedule
Yeah,
out of order.
yeah.
How important is it in bodybuilding to get your schedule back on track?
So it's funny, isn't it? Because as I said, I've been retired for a little bit now,
Okay.
and I almost kind of dislike. But I'm absolutely fine to talk about it. But it's funny to what I'm about to do is I'm about to explain a version of myself
Okay.
that now slightly feels a little bit alien to me,
Interesting.
right?
Okay, yeah, yeah, let's go, let's
So
go. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so yeah. What did I do? I locked myself in a cage. And I
Okay,
threw away the key,
right.
and I said, no ifs, no buts, no messing around.
Okay,
I didn't give myself a choice.
okay,
There was no negotiation to be had with me when
okay.
it came to bodybuilding. Okay, I locked myself down, and I would not budge or move for anything or anyone.
Wow.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Family events, holidays, all this stuff. What I mean is, this sounds terribly like me trying to sound hardcore or whatever, right? Which I find a little cringy now.
Okay, I
Okay,
can, yeah, I can, yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's less about.
I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't. I'm enjoying listening to you,
It's a
explain
little
the
cringy for yeah,
standard
yeah.
of discipline involved. But
It's
no, no,
it's
please
really
carry on.
important, and I think some bodybuilders, if they did tune in, to listen to this, once you're in that place, it's very very hard to see out of it. You're locked. If you're a really good bodybuilder,
Okay,
your peripheral vision is completely shut down.
okay,
So that tunnel vision focus means that it's very hard to see other points of view.
okay.
So to someone who was watching this deep in prep, let's say for example, they'd probably think I'm like Judas.
Right.
I betrayed the clan. This is
Yeah,
blasphemy,
the
right?
bodybuilding community. Yeah.
Um, I'm just here to sort of let them know it's okay.
Okay.
There's life sort of after it. I still train, I still do the thing, but during those 13 years I competed back to
Okay.
back, that was I don't know if I could do it again at that level.
Okay.
I think the level of focus and discipline and emotional kind of shutdown that I had, that's what it took for me. And again, going back to the personal training and the lifestyle clients,
Mm.
when they say, "Well, I want to do what you did," now I go, "Well, listen, man, that's a real tricky thing, right? Because I can't teach you that.
Okay.
I can't teach you that.
No,
I can't
okay. No,
teach
no,
you
no.
how
Yeah.
to get into my mind
Yeah.
and to enact on whatever
No,
that
definitely,
mentality
yeah,
is.
yeah. No, I can understand that. Definitely,
You
yeah,
have to
yeah.
feel that yourself.
That's a personal
It
choice.
really
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
So I know what that looks like. I know what that feels like,
Okay.
and I guess I can talk about it. But the actuality of bodybuilding at that level, or having goals as big as I did,
Okay.
that's a really individual, personal thing.
You've mentioned that you've worked with hundreds of lifestyle clients, but your current clients, as we mentioned in the beginning, are members of the disabled community.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
coming off the back of what you just said about how if someone asks you, to shit, like to teach them that kind of level of discipline, do you get these kinds of requests from your disabled clients? Do they ask you for the same kind of stuff, or do you never need to
No.
worry about?
No.
Okay.
You know, this is the disability fitness thing. I think it'd be good to maybe just put it in context of like
Please do.
where
Yeah,
we start, how I started
yeah.
with that one, because you don't just wake up one day and say, well, I've been doing bodybuilding for 13 years competitively, training for longer, more like 17. It's all been about me
Okay.
for that time.
Yes.
And now I'm going to wake up and go, do you know what? I think I'm going to do less about me and more about others.
Okay.
Like, that doesn't happen overnight.
Well, it happened to Tony Stark, didn't it?
It did happen to Tony Stark.
But he's a fictional character. But yeah.
He's not fictional, man.
Okay, all right.
We know he's out there somewhere.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Doing something.
So the philanthropy didn't happen overnight.
No, and nor should it. So, like anything, it's a fairly, hopefully, an organic process. But so 2021 was a very good year of competing for me. But like we discussed briefly off camera, it was a bit of a crossroads in terms of where I wanted to go with this.
Your personal life, yeah.
In my personal life, right. And something about bodybuilding just wasn't quite, wasn't giving me the same sense of fulfillment that it had for all the years prior. And so
that's a lot of years, man, as well.
It was a lot of years, and it really did. The sort of monotony of it actually was exactly what I was looking for.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong, I still very much do live that lifestyle. I still train and I still eat correctly and I still do all those things. But it's the competitive mindset was more about me and less about others. And then when I met my partner, my fiance now, Ruby, I think she was probably the biggest integral part of that shift in my mindset.
Interesting.
She's so clever, man. She's so clever.
Okay.
And what she managed to do, emotionally smart, right?
Okay.
Like really emotionally smart. And she did something which no one else had been able to do.
Okay.
Which was kind of like circumnavigate what I was doing and what I was feeling, and gave me this kind of strange space to be able to, I don't even know what you want to call it, just like navigate my way through this conflict that was going through my head. It sounds really deep and kind of odd, but I kind of knew something was wrong.
Okay.
With my direction.
Okay.
And I knew something needed to change, but no one had been able to like grab my hand and sort of pull me in a really elegant way, another direction.
Yeah.
And she just kind of got hold of me, not aggressively, not with any sort of dictate or agenda, but she could see that there was something going on in my head.
Okay.
And she just kind of nurtured that and allowed me to kind of move out of it a little.
I feel like there's poetry in that. I feel like you were the bodybuilder for so long, but she was the one that came along and built
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah. She helped you develop what was inside, and
I better not start doing Beauty and the Beast quotes or impressions. Terrible. So she really did, and it was really scary. And there was
because you guys went to Disney World, didn't you?
We went to Disney World, and we love Disney. I love Disney.
Sorry, I remember.
No. It's a good thing to remember. That's how we met. It was Christmas Eve of December 24th, and we basically just.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's quite cool. We have things up around the house about that, but we met really just with a baseline love of Disney.
Nice.
Which is so
no. It's a thing.
It's a strange thing, but I mean, we both just have a very simple love of that, and so when we finally got an opportunity to go to Disneyland Paris, because of COVID, because of this and that. Yeah, right. There's been the last few years has just been this litany
the world
of
shuts down.
Right.
Of course,
how tricky that's been. So when we finally got there, I used that as my opportunity to propose to her, and I tell you what, it's not. I'm not sure if it makes for great podcasting, but I'll tell you the story for what it's worth. Because I was kept mulling it over with the lads at the gym.
It's relevant. It's culturally relevant. No, please tell it. Yeah.
And so I had 3 options in my head. Which one was, do I do something really silly and quirky and do it with characters around? Then I was like, man, that sounds kind of goofy to me. Yeah. Goofy, great character. Number 2 was like outside the castle, standard, but maybe a bit cliche. How many times have we seen a YouTube short of a Disneyland engagement proposal, right?
Yeah.
Or the other one was to do the firework display. But then I started getting worried I was going to get trampled on by 1,000 Italians or something, at the last minute.
Yeah.
So there was one really rainy day on the second day, and I had the ring in my bum bag. I don't even know if I want to say, but she already knew.
Okay.
She
knew?
She knew. She 100% knew. She just didn't know when.
Okay.
She had a feeling when it was going to be. But as we were kind of going down the Main Street USA.
She's smart. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, no, she knows, man.
Yeah.
She doesn't miss a thing. I can't hide a thing about myself. She knows.
Nice.
So there was a photographer outside the castle doing some, they kind of move around, I guess, go to different spots.
For Disneyland? Like
the official Disneyland photographers. And I thought, oh man, like this wasn't the plan, but this is perfect. Get some photos taken outside the castle. I don't have to ask someone to hold my, phone or speak French. Je suis parler, I don't know. So the guy did it, and I was just there like, oh man, do I do it now? Do I do it now? Do I do it now? I think any guy who's proposed is like, the anticipation and the anxiety is growing in that moment.
Right. Okay.
But I was like, okay, I think this is the moment. So the guy was like, oh, have a photo, kiss. I turned, I was like, give her a hug. I was like, okay, a little hug. I said, could you just take 1 or 2 more photos for me?
Okay.
And then I got down and proposed, and she had no idea in that moment.
Okay.
And so she reacted pretty perfectly, because she doesn't take no BS from anyone.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So I expected her to be like, oh, get up. But
you caught her off guard.
She did the whole thing. She did the whole thing. And then we just freaked out, ran into the cave under the castle where there's some like animatronic dragon. We stood in the dark, just sort of like freaked out.
Nice.
For a couple minutes.
Are we doing this?
Because everybody was clapping, doing the thing. So that's how we got engaged. But she's been like amazing, super pivotal in my development, allowing me to grow and develop into someone who can take on this new role,
and also help you decide to work with some of our most vulnerable members of society.
Absolutely. So disability fitness. I mean, I don't know if what you know about it, but
so all I've seen is I've seen I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I've seen a few videos on your Instagram of you essentially taking these vulnerable people into the gym on a one-on-one basis, kind of going through essentially personal training, just with extra considerations involved.
Yeah.
If it's something more than that, or if it's something a bit more complicated than that.
Well, I mean, so this all got carved out. My first client was shares the same name as me, and he has Down syndrome, and we met in 2021, September 2021. And I said to you, it was very novel. I didn't really know what I could do, except that I had grown up with my nan, who runs a charity up in Northampton, where she specializes with people with Down syndrome. So every summer holidays, I would go there, and I would spend almost...
So you have previous experience?
I have previous experience, but it wasn't something that ever was like... I never really considered it. I always knew that I had a sense of real strong justice and injustice in the world.
Yeah, definitely.
Like that's something that's just so powerful to me.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to fight for the underdogs. I never saw difference to me as like a scary thing.
Yeah.
Because I was exposed to it from a young age, and I spent my summer holidays. I'll give you one little story, right? This is one of those kind of heart. What would you call it? Heartwarming stories, heartfelt stories. As I wasn't the most popular kid in school, I wasn't particularly the smartest or the most attractive. I was, kind of goofy, and there he is again.
See, I disagree with it, mate. I struggle to see you as anything other than.
My perception.
This is the you before bodybuilding, was
way
it?
before. I'm talking about kids.
Okay.
Oh, I'm talking I'm talking
primary
about
school, high school?
6. I'm talking young.
Oh, okay.
But
just out of
but
school,
6 to 13, right?
Okay, yeah.
But I had already established that I went to a good school, and there was a lot of expectation. Very, very demanding school. They expected a lot from the students, right?
Academically?
Everything, sport,
Right.
academia, you name
Yeah,
it.
of course.
You know, so if you weren't at the top of the class, then you kind of just drifted off. You know, they
Wow.
really were trying to harness the elite of the elite in this school.
Best of
Okay.
the best. Yeah.
Now, and I always understood that I felt like my standing and status in school was one of, I felt I wasn't much. I
Okay.
think on reflection, I'm too hypercritical, right? And I will say that.
Maybe that came from from your environment.
I love my parents, but they had very high expectations.
Okay.
And if I wasn't getting straight A's, we'd have to have a real.
It was a
shout fest.
Yeah.
They expected a lot. Oh yeah, they
Okay.
expected a lot from me.
Wow.
My school did. Everyone did.
I kind of wish my parents shouted at me if I didn't get A's. But that's again.
It's a double-edged sword.
It's different worlds.
It's which our roots through life are individual, and like I think for me, it both sort of perfectionism or completionism in me. Like I definitely, if I say I'm going to do something, I have to do it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm so hypercritical, it can get in the way of things.
Yeah.
But that story of where I was
a child
at my nan's place in Northampton doing the charity stuff.
Yeah.
I did a picture, just an art picture.
Okay.
And at the end of the session where we'd all been sat together doing our art, my nan took me to the front
Okay.
and held up my picture.
Right.
And we called them the kids, the people with disability.
Yeah.
We referred to them as the kids, and they liked that. That was that's what my nan did, and they all just started clapping, and they were cheering.
Yeah.
And I burst into tears.
No.
I broke down. It was the first time in my life.
Yeah.
People celebrating something I was doing.
Yeah.
And it was it had a huge impact on me.
Nice.
I visited her recently, went up to the old studio.
Okay.
And I stood in the same spot.
Nice.
And I just, Ruby was going, I know you're so lame. I was like, it's just quite meaningful to me.
No, definitely.
I hadn't been there in a long time.
Yeah.
And I wanted just to stand in that spot because I think all those things, they have a huge impact on the decisions you make later in life. Not that you know it at the time, but that was very, very powerful. Yes. And these innocent people, the most vulnerable, but the most lovely, no agenda.
Yes.
No
discrimination.
No discrimination.
Oh.
If they want to shower you in love, you get love. If they're feeling frustrated,
take it.
Take it, and you accept it, and you help them through that.
Yeah.
But in that moment, nobody had given me that sense of joy.
Yeah.
Like that. A simple thing, clapping for your picture you've done. So that really left a mark on me.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. That's absolutely fantastic. So we're at 35 minutes into the interview at the moment. We are going to take a quick little break just so I can swap the batteries over, swap the cards over. How are you feeling? Happy with everything so far?
Yeah, I'm feeling great. The time's just running so quick.
Well,
and I've got so much to say.
This is what I mean. This is what I warned you yesterday. I said we're going to run out of time.
It's going to be a 3-hour episode
before we run out of things to say. Brilliant. So we're going to take a quick little break here. As soon as we come back, we'll jump into the rest of Ollie's interview. Great. So we are back from our quick little break. Ollie, mate, you're absolutely fantastic guest. I'm thoroughly enjoying everything we're talking about so far. I want to talk a little bit more about your vulnerable clients. Sorry, is vulnerable the right word?
People with disability. Is the term, I suppose. But I think vulnerability is it's an absolutely fine way to describe it.
Brilliant. Okay, disabled clients. Okay, let's talk more about your disabled clients. So one of the things that I'm trying to understand: who contacts who? Do your clients need to contact you and ask for your services, or do you kind of broadcast your services through organizations or?
So I've always done my PT business through word of mouth and referral.
Right.
I've never really been a sucker for the sort of marketing campaigns out there. I've sales managed some of the biggest gyms across the country over the years.
Oh wow! Okay.
I know how to sell. I know what their tactics and strategies are.
Yeah.
I don't like them. I'll give you. Okay,
Okay.
bear with me.
Yeah.
Okay, Exercise for Less, 2015, top salesman, couple months on the trot.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could have got a brand new car, bonuses, the whole thing. Scott Perrin, the owner of the company, wanted to come down and meet his top salesman.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
I want to
yeah,
meet
yeah.
this guy, right?
Yeah.
Now, for for months and months or a year, I've been, as I say, selling, and he had this way that he wanted it to be done. He had this card, and you basically ask questions. You kind of do a box ticking exercise.
Okay.
You kind of minimize the windows on the desktop till you get to the sale.
Okay.
Right? I didn't do it ever.
Okay.
I hated it. I thought it was stupid.
Yeah.
Like, how am I supposed to sell to you going, do you like this? Do you like this?
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
this is how you sell.
Yeah,
We talk,
okay. Yes,
right? And we find out stuff about each other.
Yes. Yeah.
And we build a connection.
Yeah.
So, comes down, comes in, you look like Pitbull, the singer, right? You know, he's got the gold chains and everything. Whatever, you went floaty boat, but came in, he went, so, let's see this, my top salesman in the country, you know? And all the managers were there, and they were like hovering over him.
Yeah.
And he said, so, sell it to me. Show me how you use my system.
Okay.
I look at them, and I'm like, I don't use it. And their faces, you know?
Of course, yeah.
And so I said, I just talk to people.
Yeah.
And I find out what they need.
Yeah.
And that's how I sell. And guess what?
Yes.
They had a great time with me.
Yes.
So they tell their friends.
Yeah.
And then I get 3 more sales.
So you were selling memberships?
Yeah, memberships, whatever, you know, the whole sort of spectrum of stuff that comes in with the gyms. And I love that, right?
Okay.
And don't get me wrong, sales, of course, is personal training. Sales is life. Okay.
Yeah,
it's finding a tactful and I guess organic way, something that feels good for you to be able to sell. There's tactics, there's ways to do it, but you can always tell when someone's being genuine or disingenuous in life.
I believe so.
You know, a disingenuous salesman it fills you with anxiety, and someone who you feel like you can trust.
You're not happy with the sale. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
So when it comes to the nothing's changed. I got a referral for a lad with Down syndrome.
Okay.
And the parents came in to meet me.
Okay.
We got on like a house on fire.
House on fire.
You know, ran me through the loop initially. Like his name was and my name is Oliver, right? And then I knew the surname was and mine was Orchard, right?
Yeah.
And I go, oh, my middle name is Frederick.
Okay.
And he goes, my name is Frederick. I went, no way. No way. I came out to his dad after the session and I said, I didn't know his name was Frederick as well. He went, oh, he's just pulling your leg, mate. I'm looking at him. I was like, no way. You didn't just do that to me. He's laughing.
Yeah.
And I go, I see.
A good client.
So this is going to be fun. I see. And
Yeah.
also, do not underestimate you.
No, yeah.
Smart as a tack.
Mischievous.
People get that so wrong about disability.
Yeah, no, I
so
know.
wrong.
Yeah.
You know, they'll absolutely run you around the block if you're not careful. So I still work with him. I still see him twice a week now. I was full time with him for a long time, but I still work with him.
Okay.
I've just had to create more space and time to help more people.
I know.
I really want to help more people.
You're one person.
I'm one person.
You have the same amount of hours as every. Yeah.
And I, so the door opened from there, and I got more referrals.
Okay.
And I went to clubs with Oliver, whether it was drama workshops, whether it was allotment work, music classes, dance. And through there, I met other people.
Okay.
I have conversations. Before you know it, some of the other parents are coming to me saying, we really like what you're doing. We can see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And we would like our son to come and do it. I only really specifically work with male clients.
Okay.
We can tap into that in a minute.
Definitely,
but from the mentorship side. But the selling approach has never changed. It's referral. It's just good feedback throughout from people. And that's the way I like it.
Okay.
I feel like, you build a much better relationship with your clients when it's based on an underpinning of trust from good referral. So the parents in general will get in touch with me.
Okay.
And then we'll have that first discussion over the phone or face to face.
Okay.
Find out what the needs are. Like anything, find out what their child needs from me, where I might be able to help them. And I've never had to turn anyone away. You know, I've always
That was actually going to be one of my next questions.
yeah
I was going to say, you know, obviously the thing is this is your time, this is your you know, this is something you're doing for work.
yeah.
What happens if you can't be compensated for your time?
If I can't be compensated,
Yeah, well, well, luckily you've said you've never had to turn anyone away.
yeah.
But what happens if someone can't afford your services, or is it a case of, because did you say that the
So there's schemes
yeah
like, you know, direct payments. So I kind of work as a freelancer for the council now as well.
right, okay,
Okay,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
another
yeah.
avenue which is kind of quite recent.
That's what, yeah,
But
okay,
now
yeah,
the council are starting to see the benefits to what I'm offering to the community.
okay,
They're really seeing it actually. There's quite a few people out there right now who I know they're trying to get me in touch with in
okay,
order to help them. So that's a new avenue,
okay.
right?
Is there room to scale what you do? Are you able to?
Well, this is the big thing right now. You
Okay,
know, business is going well. I'm helping a lot of people. Well, you know, I have 16 clients,
okay.
and with the nature of the work,
It's a lot of time. Yeah,
well,
of
it
course.
is a lot
Yeah.
of time, and you know, these are challenging cases.
Okay.
I don't just help people with like disability. I mean, I have people in the community with severe mental health,
Yeah.
men with
Yeah.
mental health,
Yeah. Yeah.
trauma.
Yeah.
It's a broad spectrum, and everyone deserves everything from you.
Okay.
Total commitment,
Okay.
and this goes back to childhood with that expectation
Mm.
and that deliver your best everyday
Yes.
mentality.
Yes. Yes.
I get
Yes.
told off a lot for putting too much pressure on myself. But these guys, they need it. They deserve it.
Yeah.
You
No.
need eyes in
Definitely.
the back of
Yeah.
your head. You need your energy to be for them the whole time.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Um, and so in that sense, you know, they are challenging, complex cases. And actually, I'm at the point now where really I'm being the council are sort of giving me the hardest, some of the most challenging cases out there because I'm good at what I do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What
No.
I've what
Absolutely.
I've
Yeah.
what I've niched out with the disability fitness. So we'll generally spend an hour in the gym,
Okay.
right? And then after we've done all the physical stuff,
Okay.
and I'm a bit of a you know I'm the personal trainer, you know. So that's my role, and they
Yeah.
understand that. They
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
that. They
Yeah.
know in that moment I'm there to tell you what to do. I'm
Okay.
a bit of an authoritarian,
Okay.
right? Only to get the best out
You
of them.
mentioned this earlier. You don't mollycoddle them. You
No,
don't kind of
no.
tolerate if they start saying, "Oh, I'm flawed. I'm disabled. I can't do this." Your approach is
Completely disagree
okay.
with
Yeah.
that. I'm
Yeah. Nice.
empathetic,
Yeah.
so I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's a really big part of what I'm trying to achieve here, I suppose, which is less about victimization,
Okay.
less about what I can't do because of X, Y, and Z,
Okay.
and more to look at what the possibilities are. I'll give you one example. Someone I've been working with for 2 years. He's in a wheelchair. He has spina bifida.
Okay.
He also has sort of water on the brain. So he has
Okay.
certain things he struggles with,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? With learning and so on. Now, when I first met him, his mum, you know, told me he was in a really bad place,
Yeah.
really bad place. I don't know if I can. I won't say what it was, but look, he was feeling really, really depressed.
What?
16 years old.
Just in his personal life. In
Yeah,
his okay.
yeah. Like you know, I don't think he was. I think he was just completely losing hope, to be honest with you, right? And his parents were. So
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
so you know, I said, look, I want to work with him and I want to
Yeah.
help him,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Now, 2 years, and he took up wheelchair racing with me from the gym.
Nice. Okay.
He is
Yeah.
now ranked number 2 in the country in Paralympic racing,
No way.
in wheelchair racing. He is set. He's on going into the GB team. He is going to be going on to the LA Olympics, and not only that, his whole mentality to life is a
Just completely.
360
Yeah. 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 Of course.
so
Yeah.
a 180
Yeah.
switch around.
Yeah.
You know, he's
Yeah. Yeah.
completely he's social, he's planning for the future, he's looking forward to things. And I think a big part of that has been I don't want to hear your excuses.
Not entertaining.
I don't want this, well, poor me stuff. I get it. Like you said, I get it. But he will still sometimes default back to, well, you don't get it because you're not in a wheelchair. And I go, no, and I don't get it. And but that's not the point here.
You're not prepared to get it.
I'm not prepared to get it.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But it's up to you to make the decision whether you want to sit there and just say, well, poor me, I can't do it because of this, this, and this. Or you can put your best version of yourself forward every day.
Yes.
You can take really positive actions.
Yeah.
You can do something about it, which is, and I said, I don't, prove it to me, really, show me what you can do. And every time he does it, he gets better, and he's proven it to himself.
Okay.
He's proven it to himself that he could do it. But no, I would.
Is he able to see that comparison as well? Like every time he does achieve something,
that's like us talking to our 17-year-old self. Again, like from this point, we're both 1991. We go back to 17. I get it now. I can discuss. I can tell you what my 17-year-old self was thinking back then.
Yeah.
But at 17, I couldn't have told you.
Yeah.
And he's a very young 17.
Okay.
Okay. Emotionally, immaturity. He's very young. I don't know if he has the sort of the introspection skills yet to really work that out and or verbalize
if he does something right that he. Okay.
But I do remind him every once in a while. Just look how far you've come. Okay.
Nice.
I don't like to. Constantly pat people on the back.
Okay.
I think it can become a bit disingenuous.
Okay.
But every once in a while, when I really think they've done something fantastic, or they need that little pick-me-up, of course.
Yeah. I don't think people hear that enough.
Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in a few group chats. I work with different people on different stuff, across all the time, because obviously involved with video, photography, media, just in general. People need different things, and I see it constantly that there will be individuals and groups of individuals who haven't been told, you guys are doing a good job.
Yeah.
You're doing really well. You are outstanding, and it's just quite sad.
And I think it is quite sad. My clients know that I'm quite hard to please. So when you get a real, oh, that was solid.
When you say it, you mean
I really mean it.
Okay, all right,
I'm not going to fake it. So
that's
So I'll give them a big hug and a headlock when they've really impressed me. And don't get me wrong, they do a lot. They do every day. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just how amazing these guys are, really. But likewise, if they do something bad, or I'm not happy, I'm gonna tell you exactly what I think.
Yeah.
Now, because
I
don't think in an industry, in a business which is support, whether you go social care support, personal assistance, whatever role it is, it's an industry, and it's a very this has been the way for a long time, and that's fine. It's work, but you have a very female-dominated arena, very maternalized, infantile.
This was mentioned at the beginning. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, except that you do have a lot of young men with trauma, with mental health, with disability.
Yes. Yeah.
And they are, from my experience, not babysat, but there is definitely there's an approach which a female would take.
Yeah.
And that's great, but
it's not the same.
It's not quite the same.
No.
And where I've stepped in and I've given some tough love, and I've actually said to some of these guys, like, buck up, like, sort it out.
Yeah.
You can do better.
Yeah.
Like, if there's something you can change right now about yourself, that you could change it.
Yes. Yeah. Why wallow? Why?
Right.
Why?
If I've got a guy who's drinking every night, and taking cocaine, and he needs, and I'm like, is this hurting or helping you? Like, I don't really need to ask the question, because but I'm going to throw it out.
We both know. Yeah.
And they go, well, it's hurting me.
Yeah.
I go, right. So change. And they go, well, how? I go, and then we can put the steps in, right?
Yes.
And I have my steps.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is focused around the same level of discipline and sort of what I learned from bodybuilding,
Okay.
it can be imparted onto these guys because they need structure and routine.
Do the reps,
Yeah.
move up to the heavier weights. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Set goals, be
Yes.
disciplined,
Yeah.
get moving.
Yeah.
But not only that, like they need to hear that, that we care and that I do empathize, right?
Okay.
So I'm balancing the seesaw between these 2 points
Okay.
of drill sergeant and I don't know what you want to call it, but like, you know, carer, right?
Okay.
I'm trying to navigate those two points constantly.
Are you confident that are you confident in describing that as masculinity?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I am because I think masculinity. I think it can be hijacked
Okay.
to suit certain
Oh,
purposes.
definitely. We have seen many examples of that. Definitely, and the term toxic masculinity does get thrown around
It
quite a lot.
does,
I have seen toxic masculinity,
yeah. Toxic
but
masculinity does exist. We
yeah,
have to be really careful
yeah,
because we're
yeah,
living in such polarized times.
yeah. But I certainly feel it myself that when there's an absence of any masculinity, I feel unwelcome, or I don't really want to participate. I don't. Yeah, I don't feel welcome. I
When,
feel
when, when?
usually in group dynamics, usually in things that are kind of like community focused
Mm.
or community run. And I feel like any essence of masculinity has intentionally been extracted
Right,
from whatever we're doing, and I'm
right.
kind of like, well, it's not that I can't get along with people, it's just that I don't feel represented,
Yeah.
and so I'm kind of I'll go off and I'll do my own thing.
Absolutely. I mean, that can also be a bit of an individual thing. Like, I'm not great with big crowds. I think, that's, it's just
No,
something
yeah,
I
of course,
prefer a
yeah,
one-to-one basis. And
yeah.
that's what works great with support because often it is a one-to-one setting and I can
Okay,
really understand the individual.
okay.
Group settings, you get lost in the herd.
Mm,
Maybe your voice doesn't it doesn't get heard. It's a trickier thing to navigate.
yeah,
Masculinity in those situations, well, usually what you have in those situations is you'll usually have like a strong dominant alpha male who probably like take over,
okay.
and that can be really problematic to a lot of people,
Yeah.
right? No, there's nothing wrong with it. Fantastic, we need strong male
No,
role
definitely,
models and
definitely. Yeah,
leaders.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just saying that you know if you have a personality type that can sort of move towards sort of introversion or conscientiousness, you may find if there's a
yes,
strong
yeah,
voice in the
yeah,
room or a
yeah,
dominant voice, you'll
yeah.
back down. You may just find yourself extracting yourself from the whole situation, and that's not a bad thing. That's okay. It's just something you need to understand about yourself. I think,
Mm.
like I see what you're doing. I'm not going to try and compete with that. Um,
Well, that's a different conversation. The masculinity competition. Again, I was a young man. I've had friends who were young men, and definitely on that cusp of going from teen to adult,
yeah,
where we're all getting stronger and bigger and louder.
yeah.
There definitely is that kind of chest beating moment where I'm going to lead the group, and
So
I was past that. I'm like, no, I'm
So I
fine,
think
boys.
I
That's
think
that's
that
cool.
dominance hierarchy is a really interesting one, right? Because it all comes down to status, and
Yeah, yeah.
males and females both share that, but it sort of organizes itself differently,
Okay.
right? And as you say, masculinity in its sort of purest form with the muscles
Mm.
and money and sort of a sense of kind of
See, no,
well, I did.
I would have
That's the
said
new
running.
form.
Yeah,
That's the new form, right?
okay,
But that's what it's
yeah,
become. Whereas the
yeah.
traditional masculinity, which is one that I want to try and teach my lads, or at least demonstrate,
Yes,
is one more about community, relationships, strength of
yes,
character.
yes. The things that money can't buy.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. It's a so the culture has sort of shifted a little bit
Okay.
around about what masculinity used to be and what it is
Nice. Okay.
now. We
Yeah.
have a void. This is a really big subject and really really broad.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll just bring it back down to like how this impacts people with disability. Certainly the men that I support with disability because
Yes. Yeah. Let's go.
we'll
Okay.
focus in on that because what we're really talking about here is masculine mentorship.
Okay.
Now, I had an example of it yesterday in the gym. A guy who I've used to train actually as a lifestyle client,
Okay.
but he came up to me yesterday, known him for years, and he opened up to me about his childhood.
Yeah.
Told me some horrific things.
Wow.
Out of the blue, even though I trained him before, he'd never opened up.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah.
And he said to me yesterday that he wishes that when he was growing up and gone through the things he'd gone through, that he'd had someone like me to have been there to support him.
Wow.
Now, it's not a pat on the back situation. It's simply
No.
he had counselling from a lady who he said, you know, she tried her best, but she just didn't understand.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And she just
Yeah.
didn't quite get where he was coming from at a sort of fundamental level. But he
Okay.
said if he'd had someone like me who he felt represented by, who he
Resonated
resonated
Yeah, yeah,
with,
of
he
course.
looked
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
the way that I talk and the way that I treat people, he said that's what I needed.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, well, that's really interesting. Because I think all the lads I support, especially the younger ones
Okay.
with trauma, they don't know how to vocalize it yet.
Yeah.
But I imagine maybe, just maybe in 10, 15 years, if I was to see them again and they're on track and they're working and they've got strong relationships
Yes.
and they're doing something in the world which is meaningful and powerful, not only for them, but for the people around them,
Yeah.
for the community, for the greater good, maybe, just maybe, you know, you might meet up with them. They may say, that was really helpful, what you did.
Based off what you said about how some of these men struggle to kind of vocalize their traumas and what they've gone through, that's a biological thing. The different like males and females have different brains.
Yeah.
There's a part of the brain which is larger in females and smaller in males, which means that females are more capable of things like
Empathy and
emotions and
emotions. Yeah, yeah.
communication, and they're able to vocalize how they feel better than some men can.
Yeah.
And so some men will struggle processing their emotions and sharing their emotions. So
I'm not afraid to talk about them.
no, definitely.
And
Yeah, yeah,
I
same,
and I
same.
always try to approach it from hopefully a slightly a way that makes sense to young men or men in general.
I feel like it's also generational as well.
Generational, yeah, absolutely. I'm not there like, tell me how you feel. You know, I do it just through. Honestly, it's not. There's no tactics particularly to this game, but it does kind of come back to sales in a way.
Okay.
That I'm often getting what I
Yes,
need,
okay,
the golden
yeah,
nuggets,
yeah,
in
yeah.
a very subtle, nuanced way.
Yeah.
Like I don't ask direct questions. That's kind
Yeah.
of weird and
Yeah,
intrusive.
yeah,
But through conversational selling and conversational stuff like that, you can get what you're looking for
Okay.
from them. And I do need, because I know that sometimes my lads, whether they're feeling suicidal or they're going through some really hard times, I can see it. I'm not stupid. I see you. I see. I can. I within 4 seconds.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
I know where
yeah,
you're at,
yeah.
even if you're not willing to tell me directly, but I will get it from you.
Do you have that insight from just the personal experiences that
Just
you've
I'm
had?
a sensitive guy.
No, that's
I'm
fair
like,
enough. Yeah,
there's
of course,
a real toughness to me, of course. There's an incredibly, I come from, military sort of background in many ways.
Yes, yeah, of course, yeah.
And there's a lot of that in me.
Again, 15 years of fitness, mind.
It goes deeper than that, though.
Yeah.
It goes deeper than that. Like the fitness thing is an extension of something which was already there. This is what I'm trying to allude to, really, is that I didn't learn any of this.
Okay.
This is something that was either in my
Innate.
DNA, in my character from a very, very young age.
Yeah.
You're just learning to harness that part of your personality,
Okay.
I guess. So I tussled between the toughness and the sensitivity.
Okay.
And now I think I've managed to like merge those two together
Nice.
in a way which has fulfilled me, because now I can actually put both parts of my, two dominant parts of my personality towards something which helps others. Whereas before, like through bodybuilding, quite honestly, I think they were so raw and so undeveloped that I was probably just acting off the rawest parts of my personality. 1 minute I'm oversensitive, and then the next minute I'm just lock myself down. I'm tough. I'm disciplined. I'm military. You can't mess with me. So it's been a process. The only way I've been able to help these guys
Okay.
is merge and integrate those two parts of myself together,
Okay.
and that's where I am today.
So you're in a good place
Yeah,
and you're helping other people get
exactly,
into a good place as well.
exactly. It's a very simple message, really. Less about you and more about others, really.
Yes.
But it's easier said than done.
What can we expect from you going forward in terms of everything you're doing with personal training, your own personal path in life? What's coming up for you?
Space cadet.
Space cadet. Okay, all right, no, that's fair enough. That's fine. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
I'm gonna breed Tyrannosaurus Rex
Nice.
and bring him
Okay.
into the wild. That's the dreamer part of my brain going off again. I'm always having to be anchored down,
Yeah.
that's it. What happens next? Well, I mean, hopefully not hopefully, I will expand on this
Okay.
in a way which lines up. Okay, my dad always taught me volume and bullshit.
Volume and
That's
bullshit.
all he ever said,
Okay.
really.
All
He
right,
didn't
okay.
really
All
have
right.
much more of a message. He was an
Okay.
entrepreneur. He had
Right.
lots of money. He lost it
Right.
all, but he had lots of money,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I was raised in a very materialistic, financially dominated household
Interesting.
where it was
Okay.
very much about status and hierarchy was based on how much money you would have, right?
Okay.
Or how popular you were within your sort of echo chamber groups, right? Now, I always felt really weird about that.
Okay.
Okay, I know I'm going off again, but
No, no, no,
I
no,
felt really. It was something that, as a very young age,
Yeah.
I felt at odds with. Right,
Okay.
so I didn't really get that at the time, but now I understand that money doesn't really make any difference, and also it can come and go in a heartbeat.
Just
So
like yeah.
so, I would ask people, as always, to strive for something, aim at the highest point achievable for yourself,
Okay.
but make sure it's one that actually is powerful and meaningful and actually adds something back into the community. And I'm not talking in a sort of like pseudo like left wing way, right? I don't want it to be misconstrued as like, oh,
Yeah,
happy
no,
hippie, whatever.
I
This
wouldn't
isn't
even have said it was like
that's not what I'm saying.
either side. No.
This is just about you developing yourself and working
Yeah.
out like what version of yourself is actually going to bring the best for you and the people around you.
Okay.
Now, if I can continue in that vein in my life and I can keep working on myself, then I can expand on this business and I can help more people, whether that
Nice.
comes through charity, forming my own charity, which is something I'm investigating.
More podcast interviews. Huh?
More podcast interviews, if you want to hear more.
Yeah.
From me anyway.
Okay, yeah.
Um, and to you know, yeah, it's really tricky, man, because you don't want to sound self-absorbed. Like this is one of those uncomfortable questions because it means I have to talk about myself in a way which is
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
expansive
It,
and
it's
like
a part of you that you
I'm
don't.
not great with.
Yeah.
I'll be totally honest.
You're
I'm
not.
not great
Yeah.
with this
Okay.
part of me,
All right.
but yes, I would love to be able to help more people and of course get that final financial recourse. Who doesn't? But
Fantastic.
it has to be done with an underpinning of morality, and it has to be done with the underpinning of ensuring that I'm always helping others in that process and not to stray away from the path too much with that. So
Yes.
charity, yes, maybe we can develop that. Looking at ways within Newport and more councils to get Ollie.Cult as a brand that the councils, that the other institutions, the youth justice sector. There's so many people out there that need help, and I just need to work with people to find out how can we get together and do this in a way that no one gets left behind. Really,
Will it get to the point where you have to train trainers to be able to do the things that you're doing
it's a
right now?
consideration for sure.
Yeah.
It's something that crosses my mind. I'm not at that level yet.
Okay.
Well, maybe I'm just being too hypercritical again, but it's something that does cross my mind. But I
Mm.
would, as always, I would have a very high expectation. Whoever that was would have to be, for me, someone who I could fully
Yes.
trust
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
delivering that sense of social well-being, physical
Yes. Yeah.
fitness,
Yeah.
mentoring. So I'll get there, I'm sure.
I think too often across the board in many institutions we see individuals who they believe to be trusted and they just end up slipping up one way or another, and it takes credit away from the institution. I mean, we've seen it in police certainly, where we employ these individuals, we trust them to
Right.
keep society safe and do the things that every other policeman has done before them,
Yes.
and they just slip up one way or another, whether it's not adhering to the standards,
Yeah.
or trying to go off on their own thing.
Yeah, we
You
have,
know?
there's a lot of distrust in society around institutions at the moment. We know that. We know that there's a deep societal rift
Yes. Yeah.
with across the board. Like no group, sector, class don't feel that. Like I
Okay.
think it's a fairly universal feeling across Britain now. You know, it's a slightly separate thing.
Mm.
But yes, trust in institution is pivotal and paramount to a functioning society,
Mm.
and we have lost that.
Mm.
Okay.
I
Now,
I also don't think it justifies not helping these vulnerable people.
no, of course not. Like, we can't just say, well, they don't work, therefore we need to fire everyone,
Yeah, yeah,
or we
yeah,
need
yeah,
to
yeah,
tear it apart and restart.
yeah.
I think, there's some simple things that can be done. Look, as I said, I don't work for the council. I am self-employed. I do my own thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm my own
yeah,
boss in many ways, and
yeah.
I don't take orders too well. That's not my cup of tea.
No,
You know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I would always be resistant to the idea of the council like having full say over things.
Okay.
I have a vision for how I want to mentor, look after these young people.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have a way that I think is working. It's proving to work.
Proving to work.
It's
Yeah,
not.
that's the key part.
It,
Proving to work.
evidence.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've
Yeah,
had lads
yeah.
who've gone to college for 3 years just to learn a simple task, like, well, simple task to us, but not to them.
Okay.
Like, I need to learn how to take a bus.
Yeah.
3 years, couldn't do it. 8 weeks of me
Wow.
getting home on the bus by themselves.
There we go.
Don't ask me
There we
how.
go. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Honestly.
yeah.
And apart from, I'm telling you, you can do it.
Yes.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Do you trust me? Yes. Well, then do it.
Nice.
And,
Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
You
yeah.
know, and then, of course, you have all the underpinning of the rapport we've built
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But that one-to-one work, it's a way of doing things that the councils and many institutions have lost.
Yeah.
It's a much broader paintbrush now on how to help people.
Okay.
Lack of resource, all these things, they all play into it. But I am still saying to them, look, invest in me,
Yes.
and I will
yes, yeah.
and I get results.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's proven.
Yes.
So
Definitely.
I'm hoping that yes, we somehow me can expand into something bigger than this.
If someone wanted to contact you to discuss personal training, or just discuss anything further, how would they contact you?
Well, I do have Instagram, but as I said, I've had a
Taking a
hiatus.
step back.
After this podcast,
Okay.
I will go back on. That's not because my arm's been twisted. It's something that I'd already laid out in many
Yeah,
ways.
of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's time for an update.
It's
Yeah.
time for an update.
Yeah.
And so they can contact me on Ollie.Cult
Okay.
on Instagram.
Yep.
I'm more than happy, even if someone was to message, my
Just
my
pass it on. Yeah,
yeah,
of course.
contact
yeah,
numbers,
yeah,
no problem
absolutely,
either. But like I said, it'd be interesting to have more conversations with people in the community who think that they could benefit,
Mm.
or their business could benefit.
Okay.
Whether we do outreach days where I come into places and we
Okay.
can talk about the benefits of physical
that would
fitness.
be really good. Yeah,
you know,
of course.
or the again, the sort of merging of physical fitness into social care.
Yeah.
I can come in and do group setting work with them.
Nice.
But either way, this is an opportunity for more conversations to be had, and for this work to hopefully expand. Yeah.
Well, this is why I do the podcast, because again, we see so much. I see so much content from other parts of the world that don't represent what we do here in Newport.
Yeah.
And so the whole point of this podcast is to get guests on like yourselves, who are doing things in the community that contribute to our culture of caring and supporting each other, and networking,
Yeah.
and giving you this platform to kind of say your side of things, and let people know there is this thing happening.
Yeah.
Let's get involved in it. Let's support it. Let's enjoy it.
Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
know, brilliant. Okay, I've asked you near enough absolutely everything that I think I'm gonna ask you.
And I've covered disability fitness and Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah,
So
I'm certain that if there was no time limit on this, we would keep
yeah,
going. But
yeah, yeah.
we're just coming up to
Part 2, hey?
yeah. Let me get a few episodes out of the way, and then I'll bring you back on. Like, so what's the latest, all? Like,
Yeah. Well, the Tyrannosaurus Rex is going great.
Yes, yeah. I'm pretty sure there was a documentary about that, Jurassic Park or something.
Oh yeah, that thing. Life will find a way.
Yeah. Right. So my last question, I asked it to absolutely everyone. So this is the MF podcast, the Middle Finger podcast. If you could give the middle finger to someone or something, who would you give it to and why? I know. Yeah. Working with a lot of people is quite controversial, but
So many though. Where do I
it's
start?
yeah. No, honestly, absolutely.
Who would I give the middle finger to?
Anyone or anything.
Any bully out there, man.
Any bully out there?
Any bully.
Nice.
Any
Okay.
bully out there, man. And that can. I mean, I honestly think like if I come across, it could be a small thing in the street.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
It could be something as big as in politics.
Yeah.
And I've got my eye on a few people at the top.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, if I see a sense of injustice or bullying,
Yes.
trust me, that middle finger's going up.
That was quite literally why the brand came about. Yeah, just stand up to people who tell us we can't do things, and that's it.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's a really, really good answer. I really appreciate that. Thank you to everyone who has watched this episode, listened to this episode, subscribed to the YouTube channel. All of these episodes now are on their own YouTube channel at MF Podcast Official. So you won't find them on my personal channel anymore. They're on their own channel. Thank you to everyone who continues to subscribe on Patreon. If you want to help support the podcast and everything we do, you can go to www.patreon.com/TheSonney, where you can subscribe for a minimum amount of £3 a month. And that just helps us kind of, pay for equipment, pay for, electricity bills and things like that. And that's it. Yeah. So, yeah, that's it from us.
Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace.
See you next time.
Cheers.
Thanks, Sonny. Cheers, dude.